All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councillor Mackey,
Present.
Councillor Gamble,
Present.
Councillor Burley,
Present.
Councillor Carlton,
Present.
Councillor McQueen,
Present.
Councillor Desai,
Present.
Councillor Patterson,
Present.
Warden Hicks,
Here.
Councillor Clumpus,
Here.
Councillor Keaveney,
Present.
Councillor Body, Councillor O'Leary sends his regrets, Councillor Thomas,
Present.
Councillor Woodbury,
Present.
Councillor Milne,
Present.
Councillor Soever,
Present.
Councillor Bourdignon,
Present.
Councillor Robinson,
Present.
Councillor Hutchinson.
Present.
Confirm we have all of council here with the exception of Councillor O'Leary.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. We'll turn next to the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge with respect the history, spirituality, and culture of the Anishinaabe, the Six Nations of the Grand River, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat, Wyandot peoples, on whose traditional territories we gather and whose ancestors signed treaties with our ancestors. We recognize also the Métis and the Inuit, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all, as treaty people, live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all of its diverse peoples. Madam Clerk, I'll turn to you to make an introduction of someone new at this table.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Yes, we do have a new staff member on this table. I'd like to introduce Sarah Goldrup to you. She's our deputy clerk, and this is her second week. She comes to us with a lot of great experience in the clerk's department from other municipalities, so we're very happy to have her here.
Thank you and welcome. Okay, so we are on to item number 6 now. Oh, no, declaration of interest. My apologies. Is there anyone with a declaration of interest, pecuniary or otherwise? That's Councillor Mellon.
Sorry, Mr. Warden, I believe my declaration of interest will be in the committee of the whole, not council.
Sorry, if interest does arise during the course of the meeting, I would ask you to declare it at that time. We're on to item number 6, adoption of minutes. First 6A is the Warden's Forum minutes dated June 16th, 2022. I'm looking for a mover and seconder to get the item. Moved by Deputy Warden McQueen and seconded by Councillor Bourdignon. Any discussion on those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Is there anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Item 6B is County Council and Committee of the Whole minutes dated June 23rd, 2022. Looking for a mover and seconder. Moved by Councillor Keaveney and seconded by Councillor Hutchison, excuse me. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Is there anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Item 6C is Committee of the Whole closed meeting minutes, which are dated June 23rd, 2022. I need a mover, please, to put it on the floor. Moved by Councillor Mellon, seconded by Councillor Carlton. Well, we'd have to go into close, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. Item 6D is the Long-Term Care Redevelopment Task Force minutes, which are dated June 28th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Robinson and seconded by Councillor Patterson. Any discussion? I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. We have no closed meeting matters for item 7. And at item A, we have 2 bylaws that you have before you. I'll need a mover to put those on the floor. Moved by Councillor Burley, seconded by Councillor Bourdignon. Any discussion on those 2 bylaws? Seeing none, once again, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Item 9, good news and celebration. Anyone have anything to report? Councillor Robinson, you're first.
Thank you, Mr. Warden, and good morning to you, staff and county council. The Lance Bridge in West Grey has been replaced with an innovative wooden bridge. This was an extensive capital project that was partially funded through the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, the Rural and Northern Stream, in addition to West Grey's budgeted funding. I'm extending a thank you from West Grey Council and staff in our communications and public works departments to the county's IT department, particularly the GIS team under our contracted hours agreement, and the talented Matthew Wortman, who shot the video. The video is available on our West Grey website. One other acknowledgement or celebration, if I might, Mr. Warden. I had the opportunity to attend at Grey Roots Museum and Archives to not only renew my family membership, but also to partake in the current exhibits, just experience those current exhibits, including the Moorestown Heritage Visit. And I would encourage everyone from County Council and our Grey County citizens to take a visit out to our wonderful museum. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robinson. Next is Councillor Soever.
Thank you, Mr. Warden. Yes, I'd like to report that Canada Day in the Blue Mountains was very successful. It started off with a pancake breakfast at the Legion. In spite of the rainy morning, over 200 people partook of the breakfast in the Legion parking lot. And, it was a very good turnout, given the fact that it was raining quite hard. That was followed at 11 o'clock by a Canada Day parade from Clarksburg through to Thornbury, which ended in downtown Thornbury, and there were muffins served up by the Thornbury Bakery there. And so there was a very good turnout at the parade. There was a lot of people lining the route. Many people brought their antique cars. There were a number of floats with farm tractors pulling wagons that were very nicely decorated. So all in all, Canada Day was a great success. And the next day that was followed by a lobster fest. And I see Peter, who has his hand up, was the organizer of that. So I'll let Councillor Bourguignon talk about the lobster fest on the 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Through the warden, thank you. We did have our lobster fest on the Saturday night. We have a grants and donations committee, so all money raised don't come from taxation when local groups ask us for money in the community. So we've switched over the past few years to fundraising from the community to spend within the community, and we had served over 460 lobster dinners, which raised with some local philanthropy, we raised almost $50,000. And that goes back into the Grants and Donations Committee meeting group, which will distribute those this September to all local organizations, from Cub Scouts to BVO to Events for Life throughout the community. So we're thrilled that we raised that much money this year, and we had some great local support and a few good sponsors and a great turnout. So thank you for that, Mr. Warden.
Well, thank you very much, Councillor Soever and Bourguignon. Are you finished, Councillor Soever? Is there anything else? I'm gathering you are. So next is Councillor Desai.
Thank you very much, Warden Hicks. I bring great news this time. The last 3 times I've risen at this point, it's been pretty sober news. This time I'm bringing news that the Markdale Fall Fair is back. It's the dates are the 26th, 27th, 28th of August. I hope everyone comes out to see me either defend or better my reserve champion finish in the cattle show from the last time the fair was held. Hey, not jeers, Councillor Milne, that's cause for celebration. Point of order. The Feversham Fall Fair has also announced its dates, September 16, 17, and 18. So I'm still waiting to hear back on the dates for the Rockland Fall Fair, where I have usually baked a pie and it's gone for hundreds of dollars. I don't know if they've eaten it after, but they've lived either way. The last one is the Grey Highlands Municipal League, which is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization in Grey Highlands, which has actively tried to get people interested in running for municipal politics. They had a candidate information session last night. About roughly 50 people or more came out of which, give or take, 20 to 25 people requested further information on running for council and being on council. So there was some positive news there, and some positive thoughts in the front of more participation in local politics. The person behind the organization is Dave Meslin, who we may know as the Lego Man from election night on CBC. He's an advocate for electoral reform and very passionate about municipal politics as well. So thank you very much, Warden Hicks.
Thank you, Councillor Desai. Go ahead. Yeah.
Forgot one last thing. This one's not necessarily good news, but it's good fiscal practice. The last Grey Highlands Council meeting, we received and approved the tender for winter sand and salt, which came in at almost double the budgeted amount. And we used our winter maintenance reserve for that to cover the overage. And I just wanted to point out that usually at budget time, we do hear from various people, constituents, and colleagues about how we should return the reserve back to the taxpayer, or return the surplus back to the taxpayer. And I just want to point out that had Grey Highlands done that every single time, we would have had to raise the taxes about 1.02% to cover that overage on the winter sand and salt. So I just wanted to bring that as a good fiscal practice from staff at Grey Highlands. And the last part, you mentioned something happened at 4:30 this morning. Unfortunately, I do not subscribe to the lifestyle of waking up before the sun is up. So if you would enlighten us, Warden Hicks, on what happened this morning, I would appreciate that.
It was just a lot of fog. There was a pile of fog and you could barely see your hand in front of you. I won't repeat that. Next is Councillor Body.
Thank you very much, Warden Hicks. I just completed breakfast with some Army veterans, war veterans from Afghanistan who are doing a ruck walk. So they're carrying a rucksack of 50 pounds. They're walking the Bruce Trail from started in Tobermory, working their way down to Niagara. And it's one to raise awareness and financial support. It's a fundraiser for Leave Streets Behind homeless veterans. Amazing talk with them. One of them has suffered a lot of stress as a result of the ending of his military career and the inability to talk to people of like mind. They've raised $500,000 in the last, I think, 8 years. They hope to raise another $500,000 this year alone. There'll be an event later today at the Owen Sound Legion and each Legion as they go down the Bruce Trail. Also in the military vein, the HMCS, Her Majesty's Canadian ship, is Oreo is in the harbor here from 1 until 4 o'clock today with, I think it's actually from 10 till 4 today. It's a 100-year-old, I think, cutter. No, it can't be quite that old. Well, it could be. It's 2022. Cutter that was given to the Navy. It was on the West Coast, now on the East Coast, and they use it to try and attract people to consider the Navy. Most importantly, last Thursday, I was pleased to join Warden Hicks and Kim and Anne Marie Shaw and our MPP Byers to welcome Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Steve Clark, here to tour the Women's Center second stage housing, that there's been some upgrades made there and added some units, as well as touring our own project over in 14th Street, which is bare bones right now with blueprints in the wall, and it's going to look amazing once it's completed. And Minister Clark was pretty excited about it, and a very genuine guy, and it was great to have him in our municipality of Grey County to see some of the work we're doing in housing. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Councillor Bonnie. Anyone else? I will just maybe mention that I had the opportunity, and I want to congratulate Grey Roots and the volunteers there for organizing the session that I believe Councillor Boddy and Councillor Woodbury, you attended as well, to commemorate and to remember the number 2 construction battalion. If you don't know about the number 2 construction battalion, they were the first and only, I hope I'm right in saying that, all Black military battalion in the Second World War. I'm wrong in something, aren't I, Councillor Boddy? Correct me, please. My apologies. In the First World War. And these men actually had to fight quite hard for the ability to fight, for the ability to serve. And it I was quite taken by the story. There was a film as well. So they won the right to serve, and after winning the right to serve, they boarded a ship, and the ship had difficulty having an escort because why would you want to have an escort for Black soldiers? And so they went over there, and instead of being issued guns, they were issued shovels. And their job was to lay wire, to dig trenches, to bury bodies, to, you know, I guess, harvest trees for the building of bridges and whatnot. So very, very hard labor. The intent of that labor was to make the point that Black people were not suitably equipped to serve in the military. So they wanted to, you know, break them essentially. And so these men worked in horrible conditions, were not issued proper gear like socks. And so they had problems with their feet. So just horrendous treatment that they received. And you may have heard in the news that on the 9th of July, the Prime Minister issued a formal apology to the descendants of those soldiers. And my understanding is that there's going to be a commemorative coin issued in honor of the number 2 construction battalion. So with all that said, I learned a lot, and I just want to thank again Grey Roots and all of the volunteers. Jean Augustine was there. It was wonderful. I've never met Jean Augustine actually, so it was a pleasure to have the opportunity to meet her and to see the film that was put on. It was an excellent event. All right, are we finished with good news and celebrations? I think we are. So now we're just looking to adjourn, is that correct? So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Woodbury, seconded by Councillor Patterson. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Thank you. We'll just take a second to switch over to Committee of the Whole.